Welcome back to the studio, 30 videos in 30 days. This week we have been going through Instagram success over on the members website. So if you're interested in getting 10,000 followers on Instagram, come on over. There's a lot of content, how to develop that and how to create, I guess the main benefit of having 10,000 followers is not necessarily just the fact that like, hey, look at me, I'm awesome, I'm the best photographer in the world. It is more so as an actual marketing tool, as a way that somebody can come to your Instagram profile and have more trust than any other photographer in town, as well as social proof. And we're gonna go through all of the ways to do that in order to turn your Instagram page into one, something that generates a lot of followers, but also something that really does have a positive impact in your business. I know for a fact that locally around here, that a lot of my work started to come in when I started to have some sort of social media following, that people were like, oh, like this guy must have figured it out. Meanwhile, it's just numbers on an account. But when a business looks at you and they're looking at 4 other photographers to hire for a commercial shoot, you seem like you're the most trustworthy because like somebody has been following you on Instagram for a little while and like, oh, this person, they're the best in the industry. That's kind of a new weird metric because people like side by side, they don't really know how to like which image is better. But if you put them, kind of same true with pricing, that if you put a price tag on a photographer that's like $1,000 and they shoot the exact same caliber of work as the photographer that charges $5,000, everyone's gonna think that that $5,000 photographer is a much better photographer than the $1,000 photographer. Same kind of goes with Instagram followers as well, which is kind of dumb, but also kind of unfortunately true. So head over to the member site if you're interested in growing your Instagram following. I'm going through everything that I know, as well as everything that's current for 2021. Today though, I'm talking about something that was the best thing by far that I had done for my business, with the exception of also, I'm gonna say from a marketing standpoint, actually no. So we talked a couple of days ago about introducing hybrid photo/video coverage. I would say that is the best thing that I did for my business. I would say as far as just specific inquiry generation, that this was the best thing that I did for my business. It's actually, I was gonna load it up and do a screen record on here, but my old website that I don't use anymore is not so good on mobile. So maybe have a look at your website. If you've never looked at it on mobile, maybe do that and make sure it's still good. The best thing that I ever did as far as marketing goes and generating specific inquiries was putting this webpage together. This webpage is just a culmination of maybe 10 or 15 different blog posts about all local wedding venues in our area here, as well as some reviews or at least kind of like shout outs to my friends that I would love to shoot weddings with. I feel like this was the thing that got them to share it very quickly. It was like, oh, I'm like a preferred vendor on this like planning document. Awesome, I'll share that for sure. What the overall idea was to create the official, like, here's how to plan a wedding in our local area. And it was everything that I knew about planning a wedding at the time. This was probably 7-8 years ago now, so it's a little out of date. But it was everything that I currently at that point knew about planning a wedding in the local area. And I wanted to make the most valuable resource. I wanted to make like the #1 guide for somebody getting married, that if they have just become engaged, they're like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I've been to a few weddings, I guess, like maybe we start with those venues. I wanted to make a page that they could come to and start to finish be like, here are all the things you need to be thinking about. Here's what you need to be thinking about first, that you need to be booking these things. You need to be booking a photographer. You need to be then going on and booking these other things like floral that can do multiple events on one day. I wanted to walk them through that process and become somebody that was on their side, on their team very quickly. I also wanted them to experience their wedding venues or their potential wedding venues through my photographs, so that all of a sudden they just kind of, I don't know if it was like a sense of debt, like we must repay you by booking you. It probably wasn't that, but more so that their vision of their day, that if they're putting together like a Pinterest board of like, hey, here's like the venue that we're getting married at, and a number of those photos are mine, all of a sudden they're going to like obviously be considering me as a photographer for their wedding. It is something that like people can obviously, they can come to that site, they can take all the information and they can learn a lot, and they can never talk to you, they can never book you. They already had a photographer in mind. Like, it's a concern for sure, and something that you can't really prevent against. What you can do though is you can create this asset, this either document, or we'll talk a little bit later about how you kind of take this to the next level in 2021. But know that by creating a document like this from already existing content that you have, that it is going to generate a significant number of inquiries. Now, those inquiries, they're not just gonna come across your website by SEO. Actually, some probably will if enough people go to that website and they stay there and they consume a lot of information, they don't just like click through and bounce back. It probably will do okay on Google, but that is not the main goal. 2 weeks ago now, we talked on the member site about putting your Instagram and your Facebook ads together. There's actually a video on, as part of the 30 videos on YouTube as well, about actually putting a Facebook ad together. What you do is you create this insanely helpful document, and then you put dollars into it and you get it in front of the right people. You can advertise on Facebook to newly engaged couples that have been engaged for 3 months or less, and that is kind of the main target, I would say, for these specific guides. And by creating the asset that they never knew that they needed, and they believe that they needed to hire like a full wedding planner to get this level of service, by creating that, you are instantly somebody that is going to be in their top for consideration. It is a reason for them to come to your website. If you're just advertising just your website link and people are coming through, they're like, cool, yeah, great photos, I guess. When they come to your website and something helps them plan their wedding, or something gives them whole new clarity for planning this event, or inspires them or motivates them to actually start looking at wedding venues, all of a sudden you just become somebody that is a friend that they have not met yet. They're going to give you that Instagram follow. They're going to share your work with their friends, the content that you've created whenever they get engaged. And a lot of people do something similar to this. They'll do like little venue reviews, and they'll be disjointed, and they'll be just for SEO specifically. What you're essentially doing is you're combining all of that into one super document. So you spend some time on it, maybe you spend a day or two creating it, and you keep it updated. And then the idea to take it to the complete next level, and this is as much time as you want to invest in it. I promise that it is a good way to invest your time as far as marketing goes. That you can create the text document with photos, that's great. The easier and more organic way, I would say, to share it on Instagram these days would be turning that document into a video. So you have a video at the top of the page, and then you have all of the text that's going to be really good for your SEO and really just let Google know that you are an expert of your local area. But by having that video, it becomes a lot less expensive to advertise on Facebook. So now you can put that video up on Facebook and create something that's good for the next year. You don't have to go back in and you don't have to re-edit anything, that is just good for the next year. And put your $5 a day into that, or $3 or whatever it might be. It is a heck of a lot less expensive to advertise a video. So even $3 a day, you're going to be getting a lot of new eyeballs on that every single day. Set your net maybe a little bit wider than you typically would, or set it as wide maybe as the venues that you've kind of put on your document. You could even go, if you work in a bunch of different cities, you could even go next level, and I could be like, here's my Toronto guide for planning a wedding in Toronto, and here's my Cambridge guide and Kitchener and all these different cities. That's something that I could personally be doing. And if the scope of your business does include all of those places, it probably makes sense to create specific videos, especially if it's a high population density area with a lot of wedding venues, to just create something that is specifically for them. You could even team up with somebody that actually does wedding videography if they've been to a bunch of different venues, and you guys can kind of like work together on this. It's a very interesting thing that now all of a sudden, maybe they've been to 20 venues that you haven't been to, and you've been to 20 venues that they haven't been to. And now all of a sudden in a big city, if you have 40 venues within this video, you have a pretty crazy valuable asset for somebody that has just been engaged, that they can just come to this video, they can sit through it, maybe it's a half hour, maybe it's 40 minutes, and they can learn everything that they need to know about planning a wedding in their local area. They can skip around within it to look at all the venue reviews, or maybe your top 3 venue suggestions, or local areas for like engagement photos, or whatever it might be. Just come up with a bit of a table of contents, and then just go out and just start building it. The hardest part about making a video like that is actually going out and doing it. It is a big task. You can do some of it from home if you're comfortable in front of the camera. You can just kind of talk to a camera a little bit about it. You can get a teleprompter if you're just not comfortable just speaking. I used for pretty much any of my actual like sales promotional videos. I typically use a teleprompter, and they just go up on, like, basically I can just be reading right now and you wouldn't even know. I didn't write this. We're just talking today. But that is something that makes your life a little bit easier, that if you are somebody that, like, you can write a great script, you're a good writer, but just not so good at thinking. I put myself in this category. I'm not so good at thinking just in front of a camera. If you can write that script and you can buy that $150 teleprompter, it's gonna make a pretty big difference in your video skills. You can do voiceovers if you're just not comfortable at all being in front of the camera, or you can even go as far as actually like hosting on site with, you don't need a microphone. You can probably just have a lav like I do. But you can actually host that entire video out in the field. Or maybe you go like one shot, if you are teaming up with a video creator, maybe one shot, it's you talking, and then the video person is the next frame, and they're talking about a different venue, and you just kind of leapfrog like that. Would be a good way to feature everyone. Again, not a small project. This is like a project that would take some serious time, but it's also a project that you can put small amounts of time into every single year to keep it very relevant, and something that would, without a doubt, be the best asset as far as wedding planning goes in your local area. And if you are the person in front of the camera and that is on your YouTube channel, that is on your website, that's on your Vimeo, whatever, all of a sudden, you are now the expert in your local area for wedding photography. So that is something to think about creating. From the text side of things, I was generating when I was advertising it. So specifically in the Facebook members post, kind of when I advertise on Facebook, when I was advertising within those specific weeks, I was getting 2 to 5 inquiries every single day with it. Outside of that, I was still doing okay. But those specific weeks that are in the Facebook post on the member site, those just performed exceptionally well for me. And this wasn't only one single year, this was over about, I would say, 4 or 5 or 6 years of me just kind of like rehashing the guide that I made and re-advertising it again. The amount of organic shares as well as just actual proper shares from the paid ads and people just resharing it were really next level, and I had not seen anything like that ever before. So it is worth your time. I would 100% say that if you don't do any other marketing and you only do this, that you're gonna be creating something that is incredibly valuable for your local area, and you're going to find that a lot of people are going to find it equally as valuable. They're going to share it with their friends, they're going to share it with their family, they're going to repost it on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever it might be. You can also make a 15-minute cut to have as part of IGTV as well. Maybe you break it out. It's like, hey, here's the 15 minutes about venues, here's the 15 minutes about florists, here's 15 minutes about all the other pieces of a wedding. However you want to structure it, I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but if you go out and you create an asset that is incredibly valuable for your local area, you're going to find a lot of success in that. That's all for today. If you're interested in taking your Instagram following up to 10,000 followers, come on over to the member site. I'm giving you everything that I know over there this week, as well as everything that is relevant and current in 2021. See you again 2 days from now on YouTube or tomorrow on the member site for more talk about Instagram.